Could Donald Trump be finally facing a full-fledged Republican rebellion? Well, multiple GOP senators have publicly expressed reservations about Pete Hegseth, Trump's handpicked nominee to be Secretary of Defense, who also happens to be embroiled in multiple credible and serious scandals. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, we have several clips to play in this video, and I should say on the onset, let's temper our expectations. I've said it before, I'll say it again, as a general proposition, betting on elected Republicans to take a meaningful, principled, serious stand against Donald Trump is a losing proposition. Like, if you had to bet money, you should always bet on Republicans to bend the knee to their cult leader. On the other hand, I think it's not nothing that you have multiple GOP senators, including a few that are devoutly loyal to Trump, at least nominally, like Joni Ernst and Lindsey Graham, expressing reservations and hesitation about Hegseth's nomination. Before I play this first clip from Joni Ernst, a MAGA Republican senator who herself is not only a veteran, but she was also somebody who was reportedly rumored to be on the list for defense secretary before Trump ultimately went with Hegseth. We're going to play a clip of her on Fox News. But as a reminder, Hegseth is a former Fox and Friends weekend co-host. He is a decorated combat veteran, but he has been credibly accused of serious sexual misconduct. The accuser is under a non-disclosure agreement that Hegseth had her sign in exchange for money, so she can't come forward publicly and reveal anything, even if she wanted to, which she may not. He's also been accused by former Fox co-hosts of, abusing alcohol and being an unreliable coworker. He's been accused of mismanaging, a veterans organization that he used to lead, and there's a non-disclosure agreement attached to that as well. So his reliability and also his just general lack of experience, because even though he is a decorated veteran, he's never had a leadership position within the United States military of any serious significance in terms of manpower. So all these things are just spiraling into one. And as a consequence, his odds of becoming Secretary of Defense, according to betting markets, have seriously plummeted. So with all of that in mind, here's Joni Ernst on the Fox Propaganda Network.
Okay, it doesn't sound on your answer that you've gotten to a yes. If I'm wrong about that, correct me. And if that is the case, it sounds to me as if the hearing will be critical for his nomination. Am I right about that?
I think you are right. I think for a number of our senators, they want to make sure that any allegations have been cleared, and that's why we have to have a very thorough vetting process. And that's why I was happy to sit down with Pete and have that conversation with him yesterday. So again, all I will say at this time is that we did have a very thorough discussion over a number of those issues, and the vetting will continue, I am certain, through the next month or so until we approach that hearing date.
So again, it's not Joni Ernst saying, she's not pulling the alarm, she's not freaking out. This is as tepid as far as reservations go, but it's not nothing for a cult of personality like the Republican Party, because what Trump wants to hear, what Hegseth wants to hear is, of course, I think Pete Hegseth is eminently qualified. I don't think the scandals surrounding him have any merit whatsoever, and I fully expect that I will vote yes to confirm him during his confirmation hearing, and she could even couch it in unless something truly credible happens. But instead, she is expressing, she did not contradict Fox News host Bill Hemmer when he said, it sounds like you're not a yes yet. She says, I think you're right. It's not just Joni Ernst. We also have Lindsey Graham. Now, Lindsey Graham, more so than most Republicans, will talk out of both sides of his mouth. But again, I think it says something that on camera to CNN, he said this.
Some of these articles are very disturbing. He, obviously has a chance to defend himself here, but, some of this stuff is going to be difficult. Time will tell. I like Pete. I've known him for a very, very long time.
So, again, Trump sycophant, invertebrate, Lindsey Graham, saying that some of the articles and allegations written against and about Pete Hegseth he finds disturbing. Well, I think he said something similar during the allegations or about the allegations and articles written about now current Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. And yet, after those allegations were made and after we heard the public testimony of Dr. Christine Blasey Ford under oath in front of Lindsey Graham in the Senate Judiciary Committee, they voted to confirm him anyway. So again, I think if you're a betting man, you shouldn't bet on Lindsey Graham taking a principled stand here when that stand is against Donald Trump. You also have Susan Collins, a Republican senator from Maine, Maine being a reliably blue state. So Collins is a bit of a unicorn here in the sense that now that John Tester is no longer a Democrat representing Montana, a deep red state, she's, I think, perhaps the last Republican senator representing a reliably blue state. So she has to position herself as a moderate. She's also feckless, right? When Trump was president the last time, she refused to vote for his conviction in his first impeachment, saying, I think he learned his lesson. And then, of course, he didn't. And then he was impeached a second time. So not like Susan Collins is a bastion of courage, but this is what she had to say about Pete Hegseth.
As I've repeatedly said to you, I believe that we need an FBI background check to evaluate the allegations. We need to have the normal committee process of questionnaires about his background. And we also need to have a public hearing.
I have not met with him yet. I'm looking forward to meeting with him. We'll be asking questions, but look, the president always gets the benefit of the doubt on his nominees.
What's your level of concern about Pete Hegseth right now? These allegations are continuing to come out about his personal conduct. Are you concerned?
Of course, it's concerning, but I look forward to visiting with Pete about it and seeing. I'm interested in who Pete Hegseth is today and who he is going forward.
So, is it meaningful, particularly from Kramer or Rounds? No, not necessarily. But again, I think it says something that they'll even pay lip service to the idea that they're concerned, because really, politically, they have no reason. There's no real reason, I think, for these Republican senators to really break from Trump. I don't see how it's politically beneficial. It's a cult. He's won the presidency. He won the Senate. He won the House. Susan Collins, I understand, again, because she represents a blue state and she intends on seeking re-election. But I think it says something about the strength of the allegations against Hegseth that even these guys feel the need to cover their ass somewhat rhetorically in public. I think it's kind of funny that they say, oh, the president deserves the benefit of the doubt on his nominees, which is an attitude that many Republicans never offered President Biden, who is the president of the United States. Josh Hawley is an example. Oh, no, we got to, the president deserves to have his nominees. Well, does that include President Biden? Oh, no, that's different. What a freaking loser. You also have a senator from Wyoming, Senator Loomis, talk about Pete Hegseth as well, and this is what she had to say.
These allegations that have come up just in the last 12 to 14 hours are a surprise to all of us. And so, yes, he does need to address those, because this was not something of which we were aware, nor was President Trump aware of them.
Well, there again, she's trying to cover Trump's ass too, right? Did you know that Donald Trump, who has not only been credibly accused dozens of times for sexual misconduct, he was actually found liable for sexual abuse and defamation in a court of law? And the presiding judge over that case clarified that what the jury found is that colloquially, Donald Trump raped E. Jean Carroll in the 90s in a Bergdorf Goodman store, that he digitally raped her with his fingers as opposed to his penis. Not to get too graphic here. She wants to pretend he would be outraged. He would be outraged at the notion that Pete Hegseth had engaged in sexual misconduct. He was out of the loop on this. Well, number one, perhaps that's why you should have a vetting process instead of just, oh, I like this guy on TV. Let's make him the head of the military, you moron. Number one. Number two, maybe you should have an even more formal vetting process, like the Federal Bureau of Investigation, investigating cabinet secretaries or prospective cabinet secretaries the way they have for decades. Maybe you should do that. But again, all of that aside, I think it says something that Senator Loomis seems to believe that there's something here worth examining. Should we count on it? Should we bank on it? Should we take solace in it? My gut says no. On the other hand, my gut said that Donald Trump wasn't going to win the 2016 election, and my gut was wrong. I'm just saying that if you had to bet, and I don't have to bet, but if we had to bet, you should just bank on most Republicans bending the knee to Trump. On the other hand, if he loses 4 Republicans, 4 in the Senate, he can't get confirmed. You need a majority. And they would have 53 votes in the Senate. It's going to be 53 to 47 for Republicans. If he loses 4, he loses a majority vote. So we'll see what happens. But I imagine this isn't going to go away anytime soon. We're going to see what those confirmation hearings look like. Trump has not withdrawn his nomination of Hegseth yet. He may not at all. Hegseth himself has refused to withdraw his nomination, but that could change tomorrow. He is a Republican, so he could say one thing and do another. But that's where we are. Could Donald Trump be facing a Republican rebellion? Possibly. Unlikely, but possibly. And there are some signs to indicate that there might be some strategic, tactical, individual level rebellion. And if he loses 4, it's not like he has a great margin to begin with. Food for thought. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.